catastrophes that I mentioned earlier, who's pouring it on? I don't think it's climate change. I don't think it's by chance. I have to believe and come to the conclusion that God is. Now, you may be thinking, is God so mean-spirited that he will bring wrath and judgment on non-believers? You know, when you look at the book of Revelation and you look at the cataclysmic things that's going to take place in there, and it's obvious that God is bringing his judgment upon a Christ-rejecting world. But I believe the catastrophes you're witnessing today are warning signs of what's to come, because it's going to get a lot worse. I mean, you haven't seen anything yet, baby. It's going to get a whole lot worse. And I think God is trying to shake up mankind and trying to tell them, wake up, I'm coming soon, get ready. And it's also a time of chastening. For whom the Lord loves, he chastens. Exactly. You know, my youngest daughter is going to be 25 this year. So about 21 years ago, she was a preschooler. And my youngest one is real kolohe. She's really rascal, I tell you. And I had to always discipline her. And my way of disciplining her was I would take off my big slipper, big slipper like that. And it wasn't a rubber slipper, you know, it's kind of hard, thick. And I tell her, you know, this what all fathers say, it's going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. And this is for your own good. You get naughty, you don't listen to me, I'm going to have to discipline you. So I used to whack her hard with this slipper. And I remember once she was disobedient. I said, Christina, you do it one more time, you had it. I mean, you had it. You're going to get the slipper. And she didn't listen. And then I told her, Christina, you go get the slipper. And so she walks over by our foyer and she picks up a slipper and she walks to me and she gives me, you know, those small little kettle pea slippers. And, you know, I wanted to laugh. I had to withhold my laughing because, and you know what, I shared this story with the ladies and they said, so what, Frank, did you actually hit her after that? You know, you meanie if you did. But see, God's slipper of chastening is not a kettle pea slipper. Yeah? It's painful. And whatever he can do to get our attention, God will do it. And I think the natural disasters is the physical sign that gets most people's attention. I mentioned about all the other signs of the immorality, the sociological problems. A lot of people, they just let it fly right over their heads. Geopolitical signs, they just let it fly over their heads. What's happening in the Middle East doesn't bother me. If they can have a nuclear war, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me. But cause a major earthquake off the coast of Kona and turn off our electricity and our power grid for the entire state for how many days was it? We're out of electricity. It was just a major shaking off of Kona. And this Kona is, 200 miles away. You can imagine if it hit the south coast, the south shore of Hawaii, right off Barbers Point where our refineries are, shut down the entire state's energy supply for months. What does God have to do to get our attention? I'm going to close tonight with a short Q&A session because most of my material I'm going to present on the 20th of where are we on God's prophetic time clock and what's ahead. So, does anybody have any questions? You can open up for questions. I know this message is very controversial, and I know I'm going to get a lot of criticisms about this, but I feel that God has put it on my heart that I should share this because there's too much confusion about what is happening and why it's happening. I mean, you cannot deny the fact that something unusual is happening in the world today. With all of the catastrophes, these disasters, you know, it's like God, what does he have to do? Paint a huge banner across the sky? Would we believe it then? He needs to shake us where it hurts. And next week, not next week, the week after, the 20th, I'll be sharing about this financial collapse that happened in 2008 and 2009, where a lot of the Bible prophecy writers had actually predicted this, and this coming cashless society. So I'll get into this whole Revelation 13 on the 20th. But if there's no questions, I'm going to end tonight a little early. Any questions? Yes?
Do you think that these signs of the times are supporting apostasy or will bring out a revival?
Good question. Do these signs of the times will bring about more apostasy or a revival? I know a lot of pastors have been saying there'll be a revival, or they call it a great awakening, that they expect many more to come to Christ. But in the scriptures it says there will be a falling away, and some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. And this is what we've been seeing lately. I read a report from the Southern Baptist Convention that said that young Christians aged 18 to 26 or 28, 88% of them are falling away from Christ. They're backsliding. 88%. I thought, wow, that sounds way too high. But when I look at a lot of my daughter's friends that used to go to church with my daughters, you know, the majority of them, they don't go to church anymore. In fact, several of them moved in with their boyfriends. They're living with their boyfriends. And you know, this is a sad thing in the church today. Very, very sad thing. And it's not addressed as it should be, is the fornication. Too many Christians are shacking up with each other. And they think this is the 21st century, and there's no problem with that. This is one of the major sins that is listed in Romans 1 and the Galatians, 1 Corinthians 6. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever man sows, that shall he reap. And, you know, it really grieves me that, especially, I'm including myself in this, American Christians take a very low view of sin. As I believe it was Chuck Smith and Don Stewart, they were sharing it on pastor's perspective, as well as another pastor. It says that they said that sin is not taken serious enough. And when we see judgment and when we see God's wrath being poured out, they say, but God is merciful and gracious. He will not bring this kind of judgment to this nation. So in answer to your question, Mike, I know we should be praying for revival, a great awakening. I hope it comes, you know, before the rapture, where, you know, the Lord takes all of us home. But what I've seen lately and what the future is, it's not getting any better. I think we're more going on a downhill spiral than an uphill. I know a lot of churches are growing and are exploding with membership. But look where a lot of these churches are headed toward. The emergent church,